Tonight, my one-on-one interview with the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. He tells me about the development of new policies and laws that reflect freedom of religion. Plus, we hear his reaction to the criticism he received at the White House Correspondents Dinner. Mr. Vice President, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lauren. Great to have you here on the National Day of Prayer.
It is great to be here. Part of the initiative that the President signed into executive order today said that it wants to reduce burdens of the exercise of free religion.
Right.
Doesn't our Constitution already protect freedom of religion?
It absolutely does. In the very First Amendment of the Constitution, it protects the free exercise thereof. But as you know, Lauren, for many years, government policies and regulations have infringed on the free exercise of religion in the advancement of other policies. We think of the Little Sisters of the Poor, the action the President took last year to make sure that this administration would end any effort to restrict the freedom of religion or conscience of any organization in the country. But this year what the President did was really take that process of developing policy and bring it right into the center of the White House.
The President has been very vocal about U.S. religious freedom. When talking about the freedom of religion for those around the world, where does that rank in the priorities for the White House? It's
an enormously high priority. You need look no further than the Oval Office this last Monday when the President welcomed the President of Nigeria, and they're called out to the President, our desire to work closely with them to end the burning of churches and the murder of Christians that's taken place at the hands of terrorists in that country. The President took decisive action following on great work that you did on this network to make sure that now over $100 million in U.S. aid is going directly to religious-based Christian organizations in the Nineveh Plain. We're helping now to rebuild Christian communities and religious minorities in ways that just wasn't happening under the UN program. But I can tell you during my travels through the Middle East, my travels across the world, that America's commitment to religious freedom, to standing with people of faith that are facing persecution, whatever their faith background, is at the center of our policy.
Let's switch to abortion. This administration says and describes itself as one of the foremost defenders of the sanctity of life in the history of the White House. The President did sign the omnibus bill that funds Planned Parenthood, continues to fund it. The campaign promised to defund Planned Parenthood. Where are we on that? What can we say to those who are pro-life, who are looking to this administration to defund Planned Parenthood?
Well, Lauren, as you know, I'm pro-life and I don't apologize for it. And I just couldn't be more proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with the most pro-life president in my lifetime. This is a president who reaffirmed the Mexico City policy, restricting the use of U.S. tax dollars in foreign aid to support abortion overseas. He actually expanded that policy. He's been appointing conservatives to the courts from the highest court on down all across this land. He's taken decisive steps to affirm our commitment to the sanctity of life. And all I can tell you is that we're continuing to look at policies and practices to make sure that not only are we protecting the unborn, but that we're protecting taxpayers who cherish the sanctity of life. And we'll continue to work earnestly on those issues in the days ahead.
On immigration, the Catholic bishops have spoken up vociferously about the rights of those who are trying to come to the United States, who are being persecuted in their countries. The numbers of refugees coming in are the lowest that we have seen them in recent years. How do you balance the right of countries to protect their borders and to help those less fortunate?
I think the balance all begins with the rule of law, Lauren. The President has said a nation without borders is not a nation. And we're absolutely determined to build a wall, to reform our border security, to give our Border Patrol agents the resources that they need, and reform our immigration laws that too often serve as a magnet for vulnerable people to be exploited by drug cartels or human traffickers who will give them the hope of coming either legally or illegal into this country, and vulnerable families then travel thousands of miles at great risk to do that. We really believe that by reaffirming our commitment to border security, by reforming our laws to end that magnet that seems to entice vulnerable populations, then we'll be able to do what the American people have done throughout our history and do to this day, and that is that open our arms to people that are seeking asylum, open our arms to refugees, but to do it under the law. That's the President's commitment, and we believe it's what the American people want to see.
Before we go, a comedian on Saturday mocked your belief that abortion is murder. How do you feel about that?
Well, I stand without apology for the sanctity of life, and have worked throughout my career to advance that principle in the public square. But anytime I'm criticized for standing for what we believe, I count it all joy, as the good book says.
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Lauren. Good to be with you.